Before I get started with the story, let me shout out Michael Leslie for sending me the article. Now, this is a story where I first learned about it on Tariq Nasheed's Twitter account. I'm telling you, like, if y'all don't have a Twitter account, y'all need to get on there because that's actually a place besides the stories that my subscribers send me where I pull a lot of information from is on Twitter, and it all depends on who you follow at the same time. But I learned actually first about this from Tariq's page, but I never did a video on it until now. So the story is not even that old. The article that was sent to me was posted less than a day ago. But in this picture, you have the picture. You see a woman by the name of Dayanna or Dayanna. I'm not sure how you pronounce it because of how it's spelled. Volitich, and she's a teacher in the state of Florida. So you already know it's about to be some fuckery going on with this. And it turns out she has an entire white supremacist podcast where she pretty much revealed who she truly was when a caller called in, and basically she agreed with what she said, but then she pretty much doubled down at the same time when she started posting various white supremacist rhetoric on her Twitter account. Now, according to the article, and I need proof of this, it says that she's 25. I want y'all to tell me right now, before I told you her age, did you think that she was 25 years old? Because when I read that, it said that she was 25, and it's literally in the first sentence of the article, which I'm going to read to you. It said that she was 25. She is one of the oldest, washed out 25-year-olds I've ever seen in my life. I'm so glad that at the age of 28 going on 29 that I don't look my age. I've asked people to tell me before, I'll ask people, how old do you think I look? And people have given me ages younger than what I am before I told them how old I was. And they were like, wow, you don't even look it. I'm like, thank you. Blessed as melanin. And living, I guess you could say, a fairly decent, healthy lifestyle. But let's go on into this article and see what else we can find out. Dayanna Volitich, a so-called 25-year-old, allegedly, social studies teacher, and she's a social studies teacher. How about that? At Crystal River Middle School in Florida, has been secretly hosting the white nationalist podcast Unapologetic under the pseudonym Dayanna Volitich, and bragging about teaching her views in a public school. In her most recent podcast on February 26th, a guest railed against diversity in schools, dismissing the idea that a kid from Nigeria and a kid who came from Sweden are supposed to learn exactly the same and have the same IQ. Volitich enthusiastically agreed with the guest and went on to argue that science has proven that certain races are smarter than others. In the same episode, Volitich boasted about bringing her white nationalist beliefs into the classroom and hiding her ideology from administrators. She said that when parents complained to the school's principal about how she is injecting political bias into the classroom, Volitich lied to the principal and said that was not true. She believed me and backed off. Volitich also agreed with her guest's assertion that more white supremacists need to infiltrate public schools and become teachers. She just gave up something that many people in the black community knew for a very long time, that white supremacists are teachers, your lawyers, your doctors, your nurses, your cops, your judges, your political office holders and whatnot, and many other positions where they can influence others. They don't have to be vocal about their views, but get in there, her guest said. Be more covert and just start taking over those places. Right, Volitich said. I'm absolutely one of them. After HuffPost made inquiries about Volitich's white nationalism to the Citrus County School District on Friday, Dayanna Volitich tweeted that she might disappear for a while and then set her account to private. She also scrubbed the website for her podcast. HuffPost took screenshots of many of the racist and incendiary statements she made online. And there's 3 of them, and I'm about to read each of them to you now. The first one said, it isn't supremacist or hateful to own people over others. I'm not sure if I think she typed this wrong, but then again, so-called high IQ in effect, I guess. White privilege? Prove to me that it exists. Show me statistics that prove whites benefit economically solely, and she wrote solely in all caps, because of their race. I'm very sure that they can pull many articles proving that. The last one reads, what does having compassion have to do with the fact that systemic racism and white privilege aren't real? The school where Volitich works is overwhelmingly white. In the 2015-2016 school year, nearly 90% of the school's students identified as white, per the National Center for Education Statistics. Only about 4% of the students identify as black, and 3% identify as Hispanic. Most of the school's students qualify for free or reduced price lunch. Scott Herbert, Executive Director of Educational Services of the Citrus County School District, could not confirm that quote-unquote Dolochoff was Volitich, but said the district will be looking into the statement she made, checking the validity to see if they violate our code of ethics policy. The bitch just said, I didn't even mean it, but yeah, I did. The bitch just said what she said, and she basically confirmed that it's her, and y'all want to still do a goddamn investigation. They're basically in cahoots with each other. She does not speak on behalf of the Citrus County School District. The views she listed online are really not in line with how our district operates. Realize they said not really and then say they are not. Not really and are not are two different tones. You got to really pay attention to how they speak. It's speaking in code. What's his face? You know the guy I was talking about. He taught us. Lee Atwater. Dayanna Volitich didn't respond to HuffPost's request for comment on Facebook and Twitter on Friday. She has since deleted those social media accounts. Volitich did not respond to HuffPost's message to her school email address on Friday. Earlier this week, the blog Angry White Men, which tracks white nationalism, wrote a post about how someone named Dayanna Volitich had interviewed the prominent white supremacist media figure Lana Volitich on this week's episode of Unapologetic. Volitich works for the media outfit Red Ice TV, which the Southern Poverty Law Center recently designated as a hate group. I'm almost certain that many white nationalists hate the SPLC. In the episode, Dayanna Volitich talked openly about being a public school teacher but didn't reveal her real name or the school where she worked. HuffPost found a website promoting the writing of Dayanna Volitich that had a bio section listing the author's home as Crystal City, Florida. Volitich is listed in public records as residing in Crystal City. She is also listed as being 25 years old. This year, when a fan tweeted at Dayanna Volitich asking how old she is, she responded that she was 25. So she basically gave her own self up without saying that it was her. And she probably didn't give a damn either. On an episode of her podcast, she mentioned that last school year was her first year in the district where she works. Citrus County School District confirmed to HuffPost that Volitich started teaching in the district in August 2016, which was the same exact year that Dayanna Volitich says she started working there. Volitich's photo on the Crystal River Middle School website and social media profile photos of Dayanna Volitich appear to feature the same person. The photos show Volitich and Volitich wearing the same set of earrings. Lastly, the names Dayanna Volitich and Dayanna Volitich share all but the two of the same letters and the same number of syllables. In her podcast appearances and social media posts, Volitich talks regularly about being a teacher, even mentions she teaches in Florida, and makes statements that are deeply alarming, particularly for someone who tasked with shaping the minds of middle school students. On this week's podcast, Volitich said that when students ask her questions about current events, she responds with unbiased facts. But as Dayanna Volitich has suggested, facts such as terrorism will continue unless Muslims are eradicated from the face of the earth. She has gushed about the work of anti-Semitic author Kevin MacDonald and has said that JQ is incredibly complex. JQ stands for the Jewish question, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that Jewish people have undue influence over the media, banking, and politics that must somehow be addressed. She has repeatedly praised, defended, and retweeted neo-Nazis and white supremacists, including David Duke, Arthur Jones, Patrick Casey, Mark Collett, and Mike Penovich, aka Mike Enoch. Many white supremacists across America today lead double lives, advocating loudly and anonymously for white supremacy and fascism online while holding down respectable jobs and doing their best to keep their online lives hidden. But over the past year, some of them have been exposed. And in June, the principal of a charter school in New Orleans was fired from his job after video surfaced that showed him wearing rings associated with white nationalism. He has similarly appeared on white nationalist podcasts. A former Catholic substitute teacher and field hockey coach in Maryland was fired earlier this year after his school learned that he was also employed by the National Policy Institute, white supremacist Richard Spencer's think tank, and website altright.com. Like Volitich, he posted on social media under a pseudonym. Additionally, he was in charge of Spencer's security detail during the deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in August 2017. Volitich made clear on another podcast this year that her students know her political beliefs. On an episode of the Conservative Resistance podcast, she said her students often repeatedly asked her who she was going to vote for in the 2016 election. She said she wouldn't tell the students, fearing retribution from administrators. But she said she told him, if you can figure out who I voted for, you can put the name in his basket on my desk and we'll see how many of you figured it out. I will give your class a reward. She said all of her students guessed correctly by using logic and engaging with what she was teaching. So it's pretty much obvious that she voted for 45. She was one of the many women, white women, that voted for his ass. So y'all can thank her for why we have that thing up in the White House. I know it come down to the Electoral College, but Florida is one of those battleground states, so she definitely was a huge help with that, unfortunately. I feel like I don't have to really go into too much detail because she basically gave up something that, like I said, many people in the black community already knew. That a lot of white supremacists or white inferiorists, whatever you want to call them, I'm trying to make up my own word and whatnot, are infiltrating or have already infiltrated these places. And this is exactly why you find a lot of black people don't trust white people, because things like this on the outside, on the surface, she probably doesn't appear to be threatening or to be wicked, but behind that smile, that's exactly what is there. She's living a double life. When she's in the classroom, she's one way, but at home, she's another. And that another way is very dangerous. And I noticed that it said that the school is predominantly white and that 4% black. I'm going to need those parents to pull out that 4%. Well, I don't know what it is now because it said that this was back in 2016 and this is 2018. So I don't know what the percentage is now. It might still be the same. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments.